Hello everyone, welcome to the AMV Friends channel. Today for this Behind the AMV, I'm with Ivo. Hello Ivo.
Hello, everyone.
How are you today?
I'm doing good. What about you?
Yes, I'm doing good, thank you. Today we are here for this Behind this AMV with the One Piece edit you made. It's called Nox and you released it last March. Can you tell a bit about it?
This is a project that I started like a year ago, I think. I almost dropped it. I ended up picking it up like in January again after all the year 5 thing in the anime. I did it from January till March, like most of the A and B.
Why did you had this idea at first?
I actually really like this series. It means a lot to me. I wanted to make something special with it. I really like, for example, Luffy, the main character that it's focused in this video. That's basically why I started it.
How did you do to just get all the scenes? Because One Piece is like more than 1,000 episodes. How did you manage to know in which episode, which scene do you want to have and to use?
I'm a fucking One Piece nerd, and I kind of know where all the scenes are, so it wasn't that hard.
For real. So you just had to download those episodes and cut it?
Yeah.
You know at the beginning that you wanted to make it an SAMV, when you started the project, you were like, oh, I could use SFX and voice and stuff. So was it in your main idea or not?
No, it wasn't in my main idea. At first, as I was going to focus only on the first or like 2 minutes of the song. And no, I wasn't planning to add any sound effects or voiceovers.
It was supposed to be a 2 minutes and now it's more than 6 and hit high voices. Why?
Well, because the whole year 5 thing came out and the main focus for this video was supposed to be like slavery and stuff like that. But then when the year 5 came, that means more like freedom and stuff like that, I decided to focus on both sides of them, and I needed a longer time to make that happen, like explain properly what I wanted to make in the video. Basically, and decided to add the audio because I also wanted people that never watched the show to understand the video, so that's why.
You wanted to do a One Piece AMV for everyone, from the very beginner to the actual fan.
Yeah.
Which software did you use to do this AMV?
I use After Effects. Used Sony Vegas for cutting the song. It's just more comfortable for me. I also use Premiere for scene selection. I use Audacity for the audio. I think I use Photoshop as well. Yeah.
Oh, that's a lot of software, actually.
The scene selection, I do that first, and then I do the effects and all that.
Why did you use the Sony Vegas for audio?
Because it's just more like comfortable for me to cut the song. I know I can do it in After Effects as well, or in Audacity or whatever, but I just use it for that. And also for all the voiceovers, because it was going to be long, so I needed to like have a comfortable timeline for that, and I'm more comfortable in Sony Vegas.
You didn't have trouble with the voices because sometime in the episode you have the OSTs, you have the music and stuff. You can go up.
Yeah, it was a pain in the ass to do that because and on top of that, the One Piece sound effects are already fucking horrible. So yeah, it was really annoying.
And how did you manage to maybe remove the shitty audio song or something like that? Did you just cut it?
I did that with Audacity. You can still hear it at some points. I just hide it with scenes. For example, there are some parts where the characters are talking and you hear a scream behind, and I tried just to put a scene of a character screaming as well to hide it well. So it was really hard sometimes to hide it completely.
Did you have some trouble doing this editing, like specific stuff?
For me, what it took me time the most was the scene selection as well. I know where everything is, but at the same time, I'm like really straight with how my scene selection will come, and with this specific concept, I needed everything to make sense. So I would say that was the hardest part of they added as well.
So you made like multiple versions of the scene selection or stuff?
I did a lot. I remember I made like the first minute like a year ago, and I changed most of it during the last 3 months when I was finishing.
Oh, okay. I see. Okay. Yeah. What is the first composition you want to show us, and why?
Oh, is this one with the pig in the water? Just I don't think there's any specific reasons of like why I picked the comps. I just thought of like showing these ones. So in this first comp, I wanted to like make show a picture of like Luffy and Ace and Sabo, because I was doing like an emotional scene, I will say, there with Ace dying and stuff like that. Spoiler. I first picked the background, then I went for the picture. I did the 3D layering, and this is just the frame with a solid white in the background. For the water and everything else, it's just overlays. They are like ripples. And after that, I just added turbulent displays to simulate the movement of the water. This one is a light lead that I added, an overlay. I added some diffusion, and I usually play around with my blue looks a lot until I get some results I like. This one was the rain, and this one the CC. No, yeah, Colorista. After that, I have this CC here, and here again. It's all looks that I use. Yeah, I used level effects because it was like too dark. So I used levels specifically to adjust some of the brightness and contrast, and to make the scene more visible, I would say. I could have used curves, but I personally like levels more.
Thank you. Maybe we can go to the second composition, which it is.
I think it will be this one with the wanted poster. So for this one, I got first the wanted poster, the texture, this one. Then I added some shadows because this is a part where a character is squishing the wanted poster. So I needed to make like the shadows. Then I used to make it distort like this. I used mesh warp.
Okay.
And these are the shadows again in levels. Let me show you the scene. Basically the scene, I just copied the shadows in here originally. Yeah, simple, but it works, I guess. Here, which is I added the coloring. This one, I added some curves, diffusion, and warm, and I think this one has outer shoulder, and this one as well, Colorista. A bit of shine because the previous scene had it, and I needed to have almost the same color for this as well. And the flare I added because there was, in the previous scene, was a knife here with a flare, and I need at least a bit of that flare here. So this is...
What was the main idea while doing this composition? Like, which character is looking at the Luffy poster right now?
Yeah, it's basically what I consider to be, it's not confirmed, but the main villain of the show, who happens to like have the poster of Luffy, and I am the king of the world. I wanted to make like that confrontation between them, and in the next scenes you see them face to face. Do I go for the next one now?
Yeah.
With this, I wanted to like portray. It was not really a dark scene, but like scene for a character that suffer a lot and wanted to be free, and I wanted to like portray like that part of like what she suffers, and then after when Luffy comes and the light comes in the next scene, and in this first sense like darkness and like. So what I used was first this trailer from Hell's Paradise, this scene, and what I did first here was to like put the hair that I was going to use, the hands I needed to mask because some of them needed to be on top of the hair. Then I added the clap. Then after that, I went to Clip Studio and had to remove all the hair and stuff like that. I know I can do it in like After Effects, but I don't really like the brush here, so I went to Clip Studio and made of all of that. The hair and the sword. I added some smoke overlaid, changed the blue mode to add for color gradient. I think it's both of them for color gradient. Again, looks my lot of layers, some flare here in the cloud, and what was that? Gradient ramp. So that's basically the comp.
While you are doing that, can you tell us why did you use an old ass After Effects?
Because my laptop can handle a new one.
Okay, so you use the older After Effects because your laptop can handle the newest one. Okay. You told me while you were doing your Yamato breakdown that you wanted to represent her feelings, like she's trapped and she wants to be free and she's sad a bit.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I wanted to try to.
Yeah, so like on your RNV, one of your goals was like to make the viewers feel the feelings of the character that is in your AMV.
Yeah. That's the main feeling I wanted to like portray, like how to feel like like slavery and stuff like that, and all the dark like parts of the series, and then Luffy comes and like say everyone, let's say.
So move on into the next composition.
Okay, what I wanted to do was, there's a scene in the anime that they make a reference to a scene that happened like a long time ago in the series, and I wanted to add that scene right after. And what I did was this. First of all, I picked the background, the clouds. Then I went for the lining in the sky. It's just a solid, that I mask around and play around with it. I put that on blend mode, add, and it was basically this. Then I have the shadow of Luffy. With one, I have like the fast blur. This one is the lining. This one is for color gradient. Wait. Colorista, I use a lot of Colorista always, and a bit of diffusion. And this was basically the result.
Okay, we can move on to the next. How much your sound is important in your AMV?
First of all, what I wanted to do the most was for the audio. I wanted to do it for people that never watched the show or know nothing about it to get it as well. So I consider it very important because of that.
Yeah. Oh, it's a old ass Vegas Pro too.
So first I got the song that I was using. I did my cuts. Here are the cuts of the song. Then because I used 2 songs. Then I have the next one here, and this should be the audio. If I could, if I was able to do it, yes. But here, for example, I have some like voices that are like above each other, so I needed to place it below to have that the same thing. So yeah, I have my channel for my audio, my voices. Then I have 2 more that I use in case I wanted someone else to talk at the same time, like for example for that. And that's basically it for the audio. I did that in Audacity. I don't even remember how I did that because the audio was one of the first things that I did after I considered making a long video. I did that first. Personally, just an opinion. What I think that people should focus the most on when it comes to AMVs and stuff like that is just to like have fun and something in particular. If I have to say like a specific thing that I would love to see people focus more on is the scene selection. I really love like seeing some good scene selection. And
the main thing you said, Ivan, is to people to focus more on the basics and to get the basics well, like the scene selection and stuff. So sometimes if you can have the best effects in the world, but if your editing, if the basics of your editing are lacking, the video won't look that good at the end.
Yeah, basically that. Yeah.
I have another question. Your AMV is more than 6 minutes, So did you feared that people would be like bored?
Personally, I I gotta be honest, I don't watch long videos. I usually just don't, when I see in my feed a long video, I don't click on it almost time. So yeah, I expected that some people wouldn't watch it because it was too long. But at the end, I was like, I'm happy with it, making it. So that's what mattered the most to me.
Do you want to see more longer AMVs on YouTube?
Not really, because like I say, I don't really watch them when they are like too long, like past 5 minutes. I kind of don't want to watch them. But yeah, people can do it if they want. Like, there's no problem with that. If it is a One Piece video, I will watch it for sure. Yeah, please, guys, read One Piece. Thank you so much for watching this. See ya.
Thank you, Ivo, to be here with us today to show your breakdown of your project. It was a very, very nice One Piece AMV, and see so much passion that you put into your project. Feels really nice and warm to see. So thank you everyone for watching this Behind the AMV with Ivo. You can now subscribe to the channel if you want to see more concept like that. You can see our other videos like tutorials on more maybe AMV specific things. And we will see you again for next one. Goodbye.